Rise, boy, above those weeds and broken fences of greed and corruption that have held you down for so many long years. Years of pain bleeding from your brother's back from that open whip sting. Years of torture watching your mother cry on that cold and dusty floor. Her hands raw from a scorching day's work in the fields over the lifeless body of her lynched daughter. Years of loneliness, looking up to the sky and gazing at those clouds that pass day in and day out, hanging above your head, watching you struggle and fight for the one thing that is being slowly ripped from your possession, your spirit, the wraps of your culture, worn around that place where thoughts have voice, where eyes hear sounds and lips see movements. Walk, boy. Let those legs, long and powerful, stride on to paradise, the paradise that your mother dreamed of, cut loose of all oppression that weighs down on her back in forms of wheat and cotton bales, the paradise that your father dreamed of, the trees of ignorance turned to stumps after reflection came to moments of truth, chopping bit by bit, the paradise that you dream of, the day of deliverance where you are seen as that equal, where you are seen with reason, you are seen with emotion, recognized by the thousands. But that day is today. Rise, boy, and stand tall. Stand tall against all that challenges you. Baby, don't be scared. Push your shoulders back, hold your head high for you. You, young man, you are the pride, you are the joy, you are the future of all your caged ancestors who fought for your freedom. Don't hesitate to cry. Let those tears fall with pride, boy, and soar higher than those trees, free from those barrens that slow your ascension. And walk, boy, among the lush greens of the valleys and swim in the clear waters of the sea, 'cause you, boy, I was you.
Isn't like America the melting pot of every race? Eventually we're gonna all have to not eventually have to, but eventually we're gonna mix, you know.
We're gonna become gray.
We're gonna become gray. Neutral color. Yeah, but I don't know, I've been raised around a lot of races, and it just doesn't, like she says, it doesn't really matter. It doesn't, I don't see nothing wrong with it, or it's right. It just seems natural.
Even as you go to school, you see more colors mixing together. You know, people don't have that. They're not ashamed now to go out in public with a person of another color or another race or whatever.
But it's hard to bring them home.
It's
Very
but
difficult.
in that process, you actually start thinking, you'll find the right moment. At first,
but it depends on what kind of parents you have. Sometimes there is never a right moment. Sometimes they warn you not to go out within a race because something, they're like, oh, if you go out with...
If they're going out with this person because they don't want their parents to, because their parents hate this, then I don't see any point in doing that.
No, it's like you can't help who you like.
Yeah, you can't.
You can't.
I agree. I definitely
You can't stop liking somebody because your parents don't like what race
but
they are.
if you really like this person, then it does not matter what your parents think.
Yeah, it really doesn't matter, but it's just sometimes you live with your parents, and parents sometimes go to the extreme of kicking you out because you go out with somebody who's black or who's Spanish
and
or who's
also
Asian.
just tradition.
Tradition.
If
My mom personally, I get that with my mom a lot too. You can't be with him because he's not doing this and this and that. You lady, are you going out with him? No, so just throw him back. It's I don't think it's right that they be like that.
Unless if everyone, your family has been surrounded by people who only dated and married people within their race and whatnot, then it's I'm gonna use me as a personal example. it is kind of hard. Well, especially I'm using him as an example for him for the guy I'm talking about right now. It is hard because like on one hand, some people are open-minded, but in others, like in his family and whatnot, they aren't. So, like,
Yeah, like I see that with my family. They're so stuck on like we have to. Like I'm Guatemalan, so we have to stick with Guatemalans or Hispanics at least. We can't go with somebody who's like no offense, but Dominican or Puerto Rican because somehow we like not my family, not my mom or anything, but it's just like that's how they see it. Like it's the culture that you're raised in. They start to lower. They start to make themselves higher, and other races lower. Like black people, I'm no offense, but they see them lower. No, don't go out with a black guy. Why? We ask them why, like, especially if when you're raised here with all these different races, you ask them why, and because they're this, and the stereotypical things, because they sell drugs, because they do this, because they do, how do you know?
It's even not the race.
It's not just that.
Every person will do it regardless of what race you are. And that's what they don't understand.
Parents don't get that. They think it's like a certain race.
like very, very traditional parents think that.
I want to talk on that subject when you said about the blacks. I believe the reason why they say not to go out with this because like they have been taught even in the American society like long back ago blacks are considered lower class and yet it has not changed the blacks are still considered lower class in some areas but I don't really have a problem with like a Dominican girl going out with a black guy or anything.
Yeah, because you did that, huh? I am in a relationship with someone who is not of my ethnicity, and I learn something. I learn something every day from him. I learn about the types of food he eats, the traditional parties they have, like weddings, and just family, and what they hold, what type completely different values from me, and it's just I think it's interesting.
Not everyone has to be adventurous when it comes to this sort of thing. Actually, a lot of the people I know, or a lot of people I've met, are better off going with what they know because they don't have the capacity to understand what's beyond them. By that word, of course it's beyond them, because if it's beyond them, they can't understand it. Therefore, they should stay where they are and play their part.
I think it's also part of their upbringing. When people are around a certain race their entire life, they tend to enjoy that or feel more comfortable around a person of the same race.
I guess number-wise there are more couples, but I'm not sure whether that's just people being more accepting or just the fact that there's just more interaction and bigger population, which just naturally the percent might still be the same.
Look, something weird to people out there. I'm not.
To people out there. Where's out there though?
I mean, to people who don't really think, to people who just have like a one-track mind on this relation of just one color, and they feel safe with that one color instead of going.
Yeah, because when I was little, I was in kindergarten, and my friend, he's white and whatever, and his mom came in, and then his dad came in, his stepdad, who was black. And so I was little, I was raised to think everybody's with, their own race, and then when I saw that, it just impacted me. But then when you grow up, getting used to it though.
That's the thing, your parents always show this picture that you're supposed to be with a black woman or you're supposed to be with a black girl, or if you're Hispanic, you have to be Hispanic, and now it's time to change.
I'm Cambodian, I can't date Hmong girls, not because we're not exposed to each other, but it's hard enough for us to understand each other already. Leaping beyond that might be even more difficult and perhaps foolish.
A lot of times there are pauses because we start to think what's our parents gonna think about this? We look on the outside instead of what's right in front of us. We look beyond us, you know, and we start thinking all these things of, you know, if I go out with this person, someone might look down upon me because I'm going out with a certain type of person. Right now, at this stage, I actually just came into this because from seeing what I've been seeing around in the neighborhood and things like that, like kids used to be ashamed to go out over another race. You know, if they're a certain race, they're completely ashamed to go out with another race. And now that, you know, I wouldn't say we have more freedom, but now that we have our opinions, we like, you know, we have our minds to say things and choose things. Now you see it more, and we're not so ashamed though, you know. But we still have that certain thing in our minds of what people are gonna think, and I don't.
Yeah, like even when you walk down the street and you're holding hands, people look at you like, I don't look at it like that. I look at the couple and I go, oh, he's cute, or she's pretty. Yeah, but I don't say, oh, he's black and she's white. Why are they together? I don't say that. I see beyond that, you know?
From how I was brought up, like probably 2 years ago, I would have said, oh, she's white, she's black. Why are they going out? But now that I've gotten more into the world, I would say, I don't say those words. Now I can look at a couple and like not care what color they are. You know, once I see love in their eyes, it does not matter to me what color they are.
Yeah, exactly, because it's just like, you see beyond the color. It's just, color is just.
Doesn't matter how you look or how you know, the colors and stuff, but you gotta follow your heart.
Mommy, when I grow up, I'm gonna be your guardian angel. Mommy, why did you do it? I know you weren't ready for me, but I wasn't ready to die. I was just growing inside you, almost becoming a whole person. Mommy, how could you? After only 5 weeks. Daddy, where is he? I don't see him there holding you, rubbing on your back because you're in pain, wiping your tears away, promising you a better day. Do you remember he promised to be there for you? I remember. I heard him, an echo faint, but I heard. He rubbed your tummy, Mommy. I felt it. I felt loved and wanted. What happened, Mommy? Why did you abort a gift from God? I saw this for an object. I didn't want to go. Baby, I'm sorry. I didn't know what to do, but I couldn't give you the life you deserved. Daddy left me. He couldn't do it either. I was alone. I was alive. I try not to do it. It hurts so much. My soul is dead. My world is gone. And I don't exist because I destroyed. A miracle stopped in its process. I'm sorry, baby. It's okay, Mommy. I love you. You'll always be my mommy, and you'll always be my baby. God says he will take care of you and me now, too, because he feels what you're going through, and I'm your guardian angel.
I mean, the school should be, there's so many improvements. There need to be an improvement, physically, the teachers, the students, how it's being run, everything about it. I find all that is a problem.
It's just something that I feel as though school is never going to be perfect because of the fact that it's run by people and people aren't perfect.
Some of these students in my school, they don't realize what they're creating, what they're going to miss for their future, and they're limiting themselves, the opportunities that they could have, but they don't see that. And I think that's the main problem in my school that I would want to fix.
Yeah, the teachers aren't enthusiastic about what they're teaching, but that's because they've been teaching the same thing for 20 years. The teachers, my friends and I have a theory that for the first few years when they start teaching, they're young, they're fresh, they want to make a difference in these kids' lives, and then after a few years, they're like, all right, this is fun, this is boring, like, I can't wait till I get my pension when I'm done. I think that we need some younger teachers all the time. Not just once and then 20 years later say, we could use some younger teachers again. Every few years, bring a fresh group in who makes learning fun. Learning isn't fun. It should be.
Do you think that maybe the students rob them of their dream and of their hopes because of the fact that, face it, in your classroom you have, 10 out of the 24 kids who actually want to learn, but the other 14 are making it a live in hell for you, and you have to go through this, and you're not getting paid enough for it, and it's just too much to expect from them, and I don't think we should just swap them because where the older one's going to go.
Although some of these teachers might not really teach us that well, I mean, it's up to the point where we have to sometimes self-teach ourselves. And I mean, that's what I do when I'm in that kind of situation.
I see things from their perspective. You ask them and they tell you. I've had many teachers tell me why. Why would you ever want to do this? And it's just really sad. You're like, oh, thanks. And then you look around you and you're like, oh my God, it's so true. I don't want to be in your position, and I'm lost.
There's this one great teacher. I mean, he's very attentive. He's always he can relate to us. And although I know he's like, I don't know, 40s or something like that. He's old, but he still has that passion to want to teach and to want us to learn. And in a way, when he is able to relate to us, when he does, speak slang or something like that, he kind of builds this like comfort zone for us, and like gives us the ability to just really relax and just understand that he's there to teach us and to make us learn. And although we're in school, it doesn't mean that you have to sit in a desk, straight lines and everything, and just to listen to what he has to say, and that's it. I mean, he gives us the understanding that we can express ourselves and really be aware that our teacher's there to teach us and not to be our babysitter or something like that.
Mom doesn't know. Dad would kill her if he did. She lives every day without a care. She feels that life hasn't been fair. Her long wavy reddish hair, telling lies, seeing and messing with different guys. A child out of control, surviving in the wild, that is the urban jungle. Young sweet thing, daddy's angel, mommy's princess, but she could care less. Bacardi being her favorite drink, and the smell of herbal essence stuck to her like honey stuck to the back of your throat. Looks don't tell the truth. Her rough words, her ghetto ways, the disguised innocence, all intriguing lies. But she ain't a young sweet thing when she is 5 months, and daddy's ashamed. The mom finds herself to blame, and the baby daddy doesn't want to claim the child growing in her uterus. He is saying that it can't be his. She looked real good and all, but he was one of many. Mike, Robert, Louis hit it. They all did it, so why am I the dad? So why am I to blame? Young sweet thing, forgetting her seed that grows within, hoping that all her pain ends. She ended with his life because she couldn't be his wife. Got 20 years to life and the birth of a baby girl. Nobody's princess angel, nobody's nothing. Poor young sweet thing. Family member was pregnant and very well could have had this child, would have had a very rough time raising it. Very well could have. Chose to get an abortion, and she wanted like a proper burial for the aborted child, so they let her keep it. And I saw it, and it was not a pretty sight. And it was a person, and it had fingers and toes, and it makes you think about stuff a lot more than just hearing about it on the news. Like, you could talk about, oh, look, she's pregnant. Okay, there's the end of the conversation. But she got pregnant, and like, oh, let's think about her future and how it's going to affect. Imagine you were pregnant. So it gets into a deeper discussion, and people start learning that it's not as easy as it looks. not saying that being pregnant at 16 looks easy, but it's just like it's not me, so it's easier on my life, you know?
What I've found out now, classical and the rest of schools don't experience this, but Central, since it's a higher rate of pregnancies in the school, teachers are much more open-minded to it now. They don't see it more as kids taking care of kids, you know. They look at a certain, they'll look at a certain child and say, yeah, that would be a good mother, that would be a good father.
Yeah,
Right now,
Not now.
there's a girl who's actually pregnant right now, and they're gonna host a baby shower for her.
In school?
Yeah, and I think that is really cool because at first, adults would think, a kid having a kid, yeah. And I think by supporting that, the girl, that it brings her out more. She'll be much more supportive to her child in the future.
Many teenagers do kind of face that sort of pressure to have sex or just to do something like that because they feel that they might be the only one who hasn't experienced that already, and because of that they feel that they might be isolated from other people and they won't know a certain thing that their friends might know, and so therefore they might want to do something that would relate to their friends, and then they'd be able to be more closer or just to somehow fit
Everywhere
into
you look, there's
the
sex.
community.
They're selling sex magazines, music, TV, commercials, everything. It's in there besides the media and the peers. There's pressure in school to do well, and there's pressure from your parents and from your family for your expectations. And some people can actually use sex or drug abuse or anything else that they can do as a way to escape.
Younger people at my school who, I'm assuming feel great pressure to explore their sexuality before maybe they're mature enough to handle it. And, it's kind of sad. People walk around and they're like, oh, she's a slut, or oh, she did this with this person. But, there's something going on inside her that she has to figure out,
What people from, all over the place need to realize is that it's going to happen one way or another. Sooner or later, it's going to happen. And why not try to at least inform, educate, and prevent diseases, prevent deaths from really just letting students become aware of this topic, and instead of just letting it go and just thinking that they're going to be aware of it on their own. That's not going to happen.
Place for someone to get information about sex would have to be someone who's older. You can't get someone who's your age because no matter how experienced they are, their mentality still isn't fully developed yet. You want to get someone who's older, who's been there and is also on the outside, and they're seeing the dangers and the risks that you're placing yourself at by having sex. So, which is why I think that health class is actually a very important factor to school. It's really, really sad that they only dedicate a quarter to health class. It should be, it's more important in teaching you this is sex. It took no stand on it. It said, we want you to have sex, It actually showed you what the media is telling you, and it just left the options there for you so you can be able to choose it. But what it did do is it said, if you do decide to have sex, this is what's available, this is how it works, this is blah, 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 and so on. And it was just really helpful to you because there's really no other place that you can go and get this unless you're willing to. And that's the thing, sometimes teenagers are embarrassed to go where they feel as though they don't need this, but you don't know if you need this if you don't even know anything about the subject.
I think a lot of teenagers sadly turn to their peers for answers about sex, and their peers don't know any more than they do, if not less, and we should feel comfortable to go to our parents, but most people aren't. Most parents, it's, you don't want to think about your parents having sex. Your parents don't want to think about you having sex, It's not, in society, it's, taboo, kind of.
Well, my parents would not talk to me about, sex because from where they're from. So it's kind of hard for me to, try to really understand what sex is about. And I'm not really that exposed to that subject. So, and it's true though, I do get information from my friends. And if we do have a place like New Urban Arts where they have, people who knows about this topic, who are very well aware of it, and that they're able to help teenagers or even younger to understand about what the topic is, then maybe, I can be more aware of it, and I can, prevent myself from, doing certain things, or just really knowing that that topic.
My mom just says to me, you have kids who die.
No, it's true. It's true. That's like where parents like lose that communication. When my mom told me, she goes, "Oh, mommy, what if I ever get pregnant?" Right? And she's like, "What? What did you say again? Can you repeat that? Can you repeat that again?"
Am I losing my hearing? Pregnant.
Yeah.
You're out.
Yeah, like my mom said. She said, "I'm gonna beat the living crap out of you." Oh, great, mom! Just kill me and kill the kid.
Kill me and kill the kid and kill the mom.
This is where you see your parents don't think. I'm sorry. I'm sorry, mom.
I couldn't sit down, besides the fact that I would sit down and talk to them about sex, we just can't really sit down and talk about anything without screaming or getting into a big misunderstanding. So, no, my parents are not my first choice. If I had a question that had to do with, sex or any of the sort.
They wouldn't take it to heart that much that I actually got a girl pregnant or something like that. They would mostly think about he would actually do something like that. And they'll think lower at me, they wouldn't look at me the same way anymore. But if I would turn to somebody, I wouldn't turn to my parents. I would actually turn to a physician or a friend, someone that on the same level cares about me, but has different thoughts on it.
I have a 3-year-old niece, and she knows everything about her body. She knows all her body parts, internal and external. She knows how babies are made. I mean, it's incredible. And everyone, when they hear her say something like, "Oh, I have a vagina," or something like that, or "I have a cervix," and they're like, "That's kind of sick that she knows all this since she's only 3. I'm like, when's she supposed to learn it? When she's 19?
Yeah, in my school we have a health clinic where you can actually go down there. I'm not quite sure if you can actually go and ask for condoms and birth control pills, but I'm pretty sure you can go down there and pretty much ask them anything that is on the mind of the teenager and wants to know safe sex and where they can get information about things like that.
I think that if it was another state or government-based organization outside of school, that'd be okay. But the point of school is to do your homework, read a book, learn some things, and then go home.
I mean, I in no way think that the schools should ever take a stand or do an aggressive movement towards sex. If they ever handed out contraceptions in my school, I would freak out.
I think that by distributing birth control or condoms in school, it's paralleled to don't have sex, but if you do have sex, do it this way. Or don't smoke cigarettes, but if you do smoke cigarettes, smoke these light cigarettes, because they're not so bad.
Inform the students, but not help the students have sex, no.
Why did you go so far from me? I miss you, I need you, but you just don't care. I care, but life is just not fair. I want to keep you close, I want to touch your lips with mine, but there's no way I can see you. Even if you can't see me, I can see you. In my heart, that's where you stay, and in my mind, that's where I think of you. Wishing maybe someday I can be with you in that place far away that you call home. I see you every night crying for me, baby. Please don't cry. I will see you again, maybe not today, and maybe not tomorrow. But in the future, you'll be mine and I'll be yours, and we'll be together again. So remember, I'll be with you no matter how long it takes and how far I am.
Depending what culture you come from, how your parents are, they sometimes they think, oh, you can't think that way. What kind of child did I raise? I'm like, but
So Americanized.
I know.
Like, what's the word with, like, what's the thing with them becoming Americanized?
Exactly.
See,
Like,
parents, certain parents have that, like, when they're on a one track of how they were raised, they expect their children to be raised the same way, but yet they don't realize that this is a different time.
It's a different time, and usually
People
they're in
have
different
much
places.
more open minds right now.
I find a lot of pressure from my parents because they always want me to like do my best, and they always lecture me every single day, in trying to be a better person, and they always want me to do well in school and get a very good future. But sometimes it's kind of hard, so I tend to have my friends as a guide to really listen to me and to really just try to help me in some ways, be an ear and also reflect their opinions and their emotions towards the problems that I face that might be different to the problems that they face. And in a way, I kind of use them as a little tool to give me a little understanding of what the world can be about, because sometimes I am confined to my house because of my culture and from where my parents came from, and so I try to learn to understand the outside world by conversating with my friends.
Lots of kids who live in America with their parents, but their parents are from different countries, have a hard time relating to their parents because you have the conflict of two different cultures going.
Our dreams are different from theirs because we are like, I don't know, the way I was raised, not even with parents, but like socially, whatever. Like, oh, you want to be a doctor? Okay, you can be a doctor. Or if you want to be a writer, okay. Like that's how I like certain things, like teachers, certain teachers, they were like
More encouraging.
they'll encourage it, certain teachers when you're little, but then your parents see it differently. Your parents want you to have a job with money that makes money, that will get you somewhere living better, because especially if you're the first generation of a parents who just come to a country.
It's so hard.
They are
So hard.
they want you to, they don't want you to struggle the way that they struggle to make ends meet.
But like with me and like my writing and stuff, my dad's like, "Why do you want to become a writer? No one reads." Like, and I'm like, "I read. I'll read my own books. Don't forget, I'll buy them." I'll represent myself. You know what I'm saying? But like, just comments. Like, I know where my parents are coming from. I know what they mean. They come from another country. They're not really like, they don't have the money, the finances they would like to have, and they want to see me prosper and whatnot. So, in one way, they want to see me follow my dream and my goals, but another way, they want to see me like financially stable and have the house and have the car, the 3 cars and the swimming pool, and that's they're very like, writing cardboard box. That's what it equals, and that's like no, like no. So that's serious. But that's things like that. Like that would like some like underbelly. That would be the cause of lots of our fights.
Something that seems meaningless to to others is really not meaningless to us. We really like it, and then to have someone say,
to have someone like a parent figure say something like, what the hell's that? Like, why do you even waste your time?
Yeah, that hurts.
That hurts.
That brings you down to a certain level.
And to them, it doesn't matter, if you're in a box, if you're in a house, even if you're in America or in another country. They think it's the right way, being that they were raised to raise you, and it doesn't. And somewhere along that line, like obviously, child and parent don't see eye to eye, and that's why a lot of things like a lot of arguments or anything like that come up between like the parent and child because they have such different views.
Parents want to, like, most of the dreams that they had that were not fully complete, they want to see it in you. You know, they want they want themselves to follow through, which that is using you, and they don't get that grasp of, you know, we're an open mind. We have our own minds to want something else than what they have had. You know, it's their time. I wouldn't really put it this way, but their time has passed in you know, having that dream and wanting to finish it because they have already, I wouldn't say completed it, they wouldn't say complete, but you know, they have gotten somewhere along that
I don't
line.
think it's past, but I think somewhere along the line of getting a child and stuff, they lose it, or they lose sight that they can actually
Because sometimes you
reach
can't say
for
that to
it.
your parents. Oh, I can't talk to you.
And
You know,
even then they'll be like, why? What do you mean?
You can't talk to me. Why don't you talk to me?
And I think every kid wants to talk to their parent. I think every child wants to. Deep somewhere,
inside.
somewhere inside, you want to talk to your mom or your dad about a problem.
When you get older.
Yeah, when I'm like 95.
So there you go.
But I think, I think deep down inside, every kid wants to talk to their parents about some issues, about something, and through this, we'll be helping out, like, through conversation and whatnot, so.
In front of my eyes, by the fiery light and unescapable heights, this, a beautiful concoction of laughter and fingerprints. Different each one seems, loose and unforgettable. I sit and stare, love and hate, question, but know the life that burns inside, coming, reaching, bursting from your hands onto mine. How can they not know, how can they not see what lies in front of them, yet take for granted what is so different in color from me?
I thought most of these people that came into the group were gonna have the same exact opinions as me. And you know what I've gotten out of it is that everyone has a completely different opinion, but along that line they all seem to come together. You know, we all have the same different opinions, but you know, if you put all of them together, it's still kind of the same.
And there is still respect.
Yeah.
There's still respect, because I think I'm seeing more so in our generation than in like the far back generations, that even though I may disagree with you, or you know, like, or with Sarah for on this CD, through this whole audio experience, that one person's idea will, like, their opinion will change, and that happens with anything. That can happen with a poem, that can happen with a picture, that can happen with by talking with your friend about something, but it's just that, you know, like, yeah, we're broadening people's minds, hopefully close down the one-minded tracks that people have.
Teens have various problems and they need someone to go to and talk to, and this is just a gateway to open up other people's minds to realize that we do need talking to after a while, because we have some real problems, serious problems that need to be confronted.
I want people to see that kids do know what's going on out there, and like youth, I say kids, youth. Youth does know what's going on, and youth does have opinions, and you know, and there are places to come and talk about them.